Yeah, a collie totally laid down right where the tripod goes. How's that?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
I feel like you're way over there, but...
Well, I don't know that I can move closer, dear.
Oh. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Sprague Homestead. I'm Nikki, and there's...
Kanan. Hi.
There's that guy.
I don't know how to get into...
I have no idea.
Let's hit refresh.
Maybe. I think they don't tell you about live streams unless you're a subscriber. Have you subscribed?
No. I'm not a subscriber.
It's not even a subscriber.
I'm a creator.
Yeah, anyway. So, I guess we'll just start with the usual what's been going on around here kind of thing. So I went to California to the California State Convention over the weekend, and nobody was there. There's very few people. There were 9 Harlequins, and then he's going to watch YouTube right there. There was 9 Harlequins, 7 of which were mine. There were 8 Americans, 2 of which I brought. And I didn't end up showing Triantas because no open Triantas were there. There was a family that had 5 in youth, and I didn't take my English lap because it was just too much to deal with. So not a lot of people. I mean, I felt like compared to a normal show, there was like half the number of people there. So there wasn't a whole lot. Nothing against those of you who live in California, but not really my jam. Too much traffic, gas prices were high. I'm pretty sure they were running some kind of Street Outlaws drag racing event next to my hotel the entire time I was there. So not a very good sleep. It was warm. I know, it's California. It was mid and upper 70s, which is a little too warm for me, but yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a terrible show. It just felt smaller than I'm used to. So West Coast Classic is supposed to happen down there in 2 weeks. Right now, they really don't know if it's going to or not. And I'm not going. There's not going to be enough people showing. I had planned to go, but there's just nobody going to be there. You know, it makes it hard to show when you're showing by yourself. We'll see how this works. I've got a collie laying right at the base of the tripod. So hopefully she doesn't knock the camera over. So those of you that raise rabbits that have been paying attention to the RHDV2 outbreaks, we got our first official case in Oregon on, well, they collected the specimens on March 14th. The official testing came back on March 24th. So, yeah, we got a case in Milwaukee. And there's also a case that basically got diagnosed around the same time. I see Michael's on. Hello, Michael. Basically, there's a case in Boise around the exact same time. So, between that, and I heard that there's a new case in Ventura, California. Basically, the entire West Coast at this point is shut down from showing. I was reading him the show report earlier of upcoming shows, and we have like one in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is north enough to miss the Boise case.
It's Veronica.
Veronica, hey. And then there's a case in Billings, Montana. So a good portion of Montana can't show right now. Washington has been affected by both the Boise case and the Milwaukee, Oregon case. So most of the Washington shows are pretty much off. I saw a show in Alaska. There's still a show planned for Merced if that happens for West Coast Classic. And then they've got another one in like May if that goes according to plan. Oregon State Convention has been shut down. That was supposed to happen in Roseburg in May. So that's over with. At this point, I have no idea if our local show is even going to try and happen in June. But that's where we're sitting right now. So what this does mean is now that Oregon's had a case, we can get the vaccine brought in, because that's kind of how it works, is you can't import the vaccines from Europe until you've had a case in your state. And I know a lot of breeders are scrambling trying to get vets to bring in the vaccine and go ahead and do that. So how do I think it's going to affect the 4-H shows? 4-H shows are supposed to follow ARBA rules, meaning that there can't be any shows within a 250-mile radius of an outbreak, which right now that includes us. Because Milwaukee goes 250 miles will go all the way down to Wairika, I think is what I was looking at
earlier.
So I keep seeing some really idiotic stuff coming out of the 4-H office, and I'm just going to call it what it is. It's idiotic. The idea that we could still do meat rabbit classes because it's terminal, and I think that is absolutely asking for trouble, because a lot of these kids that do the meat classes still have show animals at home, and all it's going to take is one kid bringing in something infected, or one person, because they're really hoping that 4-H will happen in general, right? So, the rabbit kids are going to have a certain level of biosecurity going to protect their rabbits. But all it's going to take is one goat kid that doesn't know any better walking near a dead rabbit that doesn't know any better, bringing it to fair, and somebody take it home. So I think it's the idea of holding 4-H fairs in the middle of an epidemic in the first year is absolutely asinine. Yeah, I do. I think it's reckless and dangerous. That said, as I've told him before, RHD is here to stay. RHDV2 is now in the feral populations. It's in the wild rabbit populations. We're going to have to learn to live with this. I just think trying to do a fair in the middle of the first year of this is reckless. There's not been enough widespread cases that not everybody is knows what they should or should not be doing. Not everybody's set up with good biosecurity yet. So I think the first year of doing it is pretty reckless. When RHD, the original version, which is even more fatal than what we have, hit Europe, they closed everything down for like 2 years. And I don't want to see that happen by any means. I mean, but I do think it coming into a state, them saying for a year, let's not do any showing, might be a prudent course, at least where the kids are concerned. I think with adults, it's a whole different thing, right? Because like adults that show an ARBA, if you will, have their finger on the pulse of what's happening with rabbits. I don't know of anybody that's showing an ARBA, even new people who have never heard of RHD. But there are a lot of 4-H kids that don't know what it is. And that's where my concern is that the 4-H kids really don't know what they're getting into. They don't understand. I'm not seeing a lot of really good leadership as far as what they should be doing. I mean, the fact that we've had a case some 250 miles from here, and our 4-H office has been absolutely mum's the word, where they should have been really starting to teach everybody about what good biosecurity is, what to be on the lookout for. And our rabbit superintendent and our county agent, for that matter, doesn't seem worried. It's not affecting the bigger animals, so they don't seem to care. And I find that really reckless and really dangerous. Now that we've gotten a case, ironically, even further from us, but now in the state, now the state has actually come out and said, well, we'll keep you informed. So,
catch it from your nesting material, and even though you're feed pellets, is there any truth to that?
I wouldn't be worried about feed pellets. The way feed is, it's not irradiated. I'm trying to remember what exactly. They heat treat feed to a certain degree to be able to kill any toxins, usually molds, and I was trying to remember, there's a couple different bacteria that they treat for specifically. So everything I have read so far is that the way they heat treat to get pellets ready for production, or the feedstuffs that go into pellets, it should be heating it to a high enough temperature to not be a concern. Now, if you are feeding hay, though, and just hay out of the field, you do have to be concerned if it's coming out of any kind of area that might be, have a case. There is a really good chance. This thing is really super sticky. It's got a lot of vector hosts, meaning it can go on flies, and you can get birds transmitting it. So you do have to be really careful. Last year, a lot of people in California started buying hay from the Midwest, because Midwest hasn't really had any trouble. Some of the hays that you buy in the store, Stan Lee, I think is the company. Not like Stan Lee, the ultra cool Marvel guy, but Stan Lee. They, I think, do most of theirs out of the Midwest, I think. And some of their stuff is heat treated. So here's what I would advise. I mean, we've talked about this before. Rabbits really don't have to have hay. Not sure that I would bother with it right now. We've been buying hay that's local. So right now we don't have a case close enough. Yes, it's always a risk. And that includes the straw that I buy for nest boxes. It's done local, so I feel like it's fairly safe. But depending on where you're getting stuff, you may have to really kind of think through and maybe change what you're doing. I'm kind of kicking around going back to shredded paper for nest boxes, just because. Yeah. So kind of getting back to what is RHDV2. The best way to put it is Ebola for rabbits. I mean, it's a hemorrhagic fever, so it very much does the same thing. It causes internal bleeding. RHD was nastier. So RHD, you'd see a lot more nosebleeds, rectal bleeding, vaginal bleeding, bleeding out of the eyes, and even out of the ears. So RHD is really, really nasty. RHDV2 doesn't always do that, but when you open the rabbits up, you'll see a lot of hemorrhaging. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that you don't always know with RHDV2 if that's what's killed them, because there's not always the hemorrhaging. So if it's a domestic rabbit, what they're saying right now is they're saying if you start getting some really strange cases of sudden death in your rabbits, you need to contact your state veterinarian, is what they say. And I saw it briefly pop up, something about in East Texas.
Yes, that's where D.L. Williams is.
I don't know, I'll totally admit I haven't looked at the Texas map in a while. I don't know if it was in East Texas, but I know it was in West Texas. So if you're on Facebook, and I know a lot of people have gotten out of Facebook, but if you're on Facebook, there are several really good Facebook groups for RHD right now. Just Google or just look it up by bar. There's a couple of them on MeWe. They're trying to get the information out the best they can. The ARBA website also has that information. You can go on, and there's I think from the main screen, it says rabbit hemorrhagic disease or RHD. I'm not sure how they have it anymore, but you could click on it and go over, and they would show you the current infection maps, link over to current reports and things like that. So, basically, the last time I looked, from Texas, let's see, Oklahoma, I think, had a case, but Texas west and all the way to the north. So Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. What's under Colorado?
New Mexico.
New Mexico, and then down into Arizona and stuff. So, hey, Penny. Yeah, so it's just kind of it's a big deal. Like I said, you can get vaccinations for it. It does still, we talked about it on the video before, there's still a pretty big swing price-wise. I'm still seeing it anywhere from like $15 to like $105 a rabbit. So it's kind of a big swing. Some of the vets are doing bulk discounts. I've heard now of 2 different vets that were in California that were actually making house calls with it and inspecting an entire herd at once and vaccinating. But it's still expensive. It's still, kind of a big deal. You have to booster it in 6 weeks, and then you have to have it every single month, or not every single month, every single year. But now what they're saying, the report that I read yesterday said they're not sure that it's effective past 9 months or 6 months. They're now saying they think it's only effective for 6 to 9 months. So if you choose to vaccinate your herd, which is entirely up to you. If you're in a state that's got it and you get vaccinated, don't assume that you've got a year of coverage, because you may not. The other thing that I saw is there's a really pretty good percentage, something like 20%, I think, chance that you can still pick it up even if your rabbit's been vaccinated. So it's kind of a big deal. I have yet to see a report to see how it affects rabbits that will be intended for meat. So, the thing I saw is there is a certain level of what is the word I'm looking for? Protection, I guess, from a mother that's been vaccinated to her offspring. And if they're intended for food, I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough information. I really feel like they're not looking at this thing for people that are meat breeders. I really think the shot is more designed for pet people. I really do. I know a lot of meat breeders that are rushing out to get it because they're also show people. Me personally, I'm not getting it for my rabbits, and that may be a huge and horrible mistake down the road, but we have a very large herd. We are in a very isolated area. We don't live around vets that are even going to see rabbits in a non-emergency situation. So I'm not going to do it. I guess down the road, if this becomes a huge deal, maybe we'll consider it. But for us personally, I don't think it's cost effective. I don't think it's realistic. And like I said, this is something we're going to have to learn to live with. It's here. It's in the wild rabbit population. So unless you want to get your rabbits vaccinated and vaccinate every single year with enormous expense and time, it may not be the right thing. Penny pack. Yeah. See, I'm just not convinced that it's going to be the right thing.
So let me butt in here.
Yes.
So I'm on my laptop it's out of screen, but so arba.net is the ARBA website.
Mm-hmm.
You go to that, on the bottom right hand corner, there is a tab or a little thing that says to go on to RHD. Now I went over to that, and then on that one, it opens a new tab. It's got at the top a YouTube video that they're linking to from their YouTube channel for ARBA. It's called RHD in North America. 17.5-minute video by the president of ARBA.
Which is probably Chris Hayhow, I think, right now, who is a...
bet he really looks like.
Yeah, he's Dr. Hayhow, so yeah,
okay.
he's...
So if you go down on the screen, they do have a lot of information there. You can click on the map. It gives you a live map that kicks over to the USDA. So that's still loading because my internet's slow. But the last update they have on the site is December 30th of 2020. So it is almost 3 months behind.
I'm surprised by that. ARBA's been releasing updates more recently.
Well, they may be.
Oh, that's APHIS. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, the
APHIS.
the USDA APHIS site isn't putting reports on hardly anymore, but they are still doing most of the maps. See, because they've got it up into Montana, which was earlier this year.
Okay, so looking at this for DL, who asked about East Texas, I can tell you.
Looks like Central Texas, but not
Central
East.
Texas. You've got some down in the tip there. I'm going to say maybe by San Antonio, over kind of on the border to New Mexico, right down there in that corner. You can see a lot there, and then it stretches up into the Panhandle. So, what is that, Hamilton?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to read from that, but...
And they don't have it on the APHIS site, but I think the ARBA site had and I know the Facebook groups all show the Mexico cases, and Mexico is making no attempt to do anything with it, so it's really running like wildfire in Mexico. So if I was in Texas, I would be doing everything I can for good biosecurity right now, which we talked about a little bit in the other video. But if you haven't already, pretty much if you're in the Western United States, I would get a game plan together and start it now. That includes keeping flies and mosquitoes to an absolute nothing in the barn if you can. You can you should be sanitizing your shoes, one set of clothes into the Rabbitry, keeping vermin and birds and all the rest of it out. So it's there's a lot going on with it, and like I said, we talked about it a little bit. Like Kanan said, Arba has a video on their site. I would get a plan together like now.
Yeah, and this map here shows only through February, so it's at minimum 30 days old.
Yeah.
Because it only shows one case. That's one affected county in Montana, which is Yellowstone County.
Right, which is, yeah, it's around Billings and stuff too.
Yeah, so they showed nothing in Oregon, nothing in Idaho, nothing in Washington.
Well, and in all fairness, those cases have come out in the last week.
Right.
So
this
hasn't been updated.
Don't go by the map, because the map is at least a month old. So I guess if it's, let's say if it's knocking on the door of 3 counties away from you for any reason,
yeah,
in a month, that will, all it takes is one bird on a migratory path or anything that will cover states in 30 days.
Right, especially right now, because you have a lot of migration starting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big deal, and and I'm kind of the opinion that, at least for us here in Southern Oregon, where we are, in South Central and Southeastern Oregon, I think it's here, and I think it's been here for a while. The problem that you have out here is there's not a big population of people. The people that are here don't care about the wild rabbits. But I've had an awful lot of people in the last year remark on how few cottontails and jackrabbits there are. And the thing is, are you going to find a bunch of dead rabbits? Well, where we're at, the predator load is so high between coyotes and bobcats and cougars and black bears and all the birds of prey that'll eat dead stuff. I'm not convinced that even if I had a case happening on the 40 acres next door, that I'd know it until I got it. So I'm not convinced that it's not already here. I'm pretty sure it probably is. And everybody keeps looking at this thing going, well, it went from, at the time, I don't think Wyoming even had a case. It went from like Colorado to Montana and then back into Wyoming, and then suddenly the Boise airport and Milwaukee, Oregon. These things aren't just magically jumping, right?
Right.
Chances are, yes, it could be carried by somebody. It could be carried by a vehicle. It could be carried by a lot of stuff. But chances are really, really freaking high that it's already in the state and it's moving and just nobody's seeing it.
Well, it's been there. It's recognizing the fact. Now, you can look at a lot of stuff, and I'll go completely off topic, but look at some of the stuff that's trending on social media about negativity towards certain races or colors, whatever else, that right now they're just beating the drum on. They're saying, oh, it's been this way for years, and today we're going to talk about it. Well, RHD's been around for years, but today we're going to talk about it. So today it's an issue.
Yeah.
But, it's, if you don't recognize the problem, you'll never try to find a solution or pass information along.
And RHDV2, remember that, I know last year when we told his parents, look, you're in Colorado, you've got active cases, don't come. They had never heard of it.
Yeah. Right.
It's really only affecting those of us that are in rabbits and in the know. I mean, a lot of backyard breeders know nothing about it.
Right.
If you're just breeding for meat and you aren't that connected to the rabbit community, you probably don't even know it's there. So if your rabbits get sick and all of them die, some people just go, oh, it's rabbits, and they start over. So it's the big thing that I think we're failing at right now, and I know there's a lot of talk in Oregon, because I'm in all the Oregon groups, but a lot of people are starting to put flyers together and put them out at the feed store.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to my feed guys and make sure that they know, and that we're getting bulletins posted. I'm lucky that the dudes at the feed store are really pretty cool with the crazy zany stuff that I want to come up with. So I'm thinking I'm going to print some information off the ARBA website and go hang it up at the feed store, because not everybody that's breeding rabbits in my area knows that this is going on. And like I said, you would expect good information to be coming out of our 4-H programs, and it's not. So 4-H families really are not getting the information that they need unless they're involved with ARBA type shows. So I think that's what my next step is trying to educate the community the best we can.
Yeah.
And trying to reach out to everybody, because this is a very big deal. In some states, they are still saying that if you get a case, it's a mandatory destroy your entire herd, and then you're not supposed to have rabbits for like up to a year. In Oregon, Colorado, Nevada, I can't remember if California is doing it. It's not a mandatory destroy. What it is, though, is you have to be at least 60 days clean before they can before you're allowed to do anything like sell rabbits or anything like that. So, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things to be aware of.
Yeah.
And I know I'm missing a bunch of comments because I've got enough shadow on the screen, so I'll see what Kanan's got here.
All right, so let me go back. Mother Wolf Rabbitry.
Okay.
Asked. She says her. I say she. Because of the mother thing, but they're asking about their grow outs are digging out. So they use a tumbler. They watch the video on mixing feed with a tumbler. The adults love it. The grow outs that are show and meat are digging it out. Okay.
Kids are picky. That's the best way to put it. Like all species, kids are picky. So I would cut their feedback until they stop. And that might mean nothing for a day or two. And I know that sounds terrible, but drop their ration to whatever they'll eat. And the other thing with juniors is, because I have this in my English lab, especially, they're terrible diggers. Raise the feeder. The biggest thing that you find in juniors for digging is that the feeder is too low. So when you start getting juniors that dig a lot, raise that feeder up. Really, the feeder needs to hit them just below the chin so they can reach in to eat. Anything more than that, they'll dig. And my English lop, I'm not going to lie, she has incredible balance, so she will stand on her hind feet and still do it. So I've got that feeder.
I wondered why it was so high.
Her feeder is up extremely high, and it's up high enough that she can't, when she stands up, she has a choice. You can dig or you can eat, and it's turned it such a way that she really can't get in there.
Yeah, she can. So Nikki was gone to the show this weekend, so I did the chores around the whole farm for 2 days. I guess I didn't realize why, but when I went in to feed her, she's a sweet rabbit, I'll tell you that. But
falling out of the cage sweet.
She wanted to be pet and all that stuff, and she'd bite my coat and all that, and kind of chew on my coat while I was trying to put feed in there. But yeah, her feeder is probably 9 inches off the floor.
It's just enough, her big old head, there's just enough room above that feeder for her to be able to turn in and eat.
Yeah.
And it stopped her digging because she was horribly digging. The Americans, we've had to do that on occasion too. So I sometimes, when I've got a bunch of grots and the J feeder is where they're digging, sometimes you have to use a clip-on feeder and go really high. And just as high as they can still get into it. And they'll usually stop the digging. Because it's probably not, for grots, for meat, it's probably not worth the time to try and break them because you're trying to pack on weight. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't cut them back. I would probably just raise the holy heck out of that feeder and see if that'll stop them.
All right. So Wesley Tennyson, if I said it right, is there a happy medium time to raise a rabbit that is good to eat but will have a decent pelt?
No. I hate to say this, but um, you either need to go for pelts or you need to go for meat. And the reason I say that is prime on a pelt is really where you want it. The hair is in good shape. It's nice and it's dense and it's a beautiful coat. The hide is thick enough that when you go through the tanning process, you don't get as much fur slippage. But unfortunately, that means in most breeds, close to, 8 months. So it's just kind of one of those things that there really is not a good happy medium. I know people who wait and butcher them at 4 and 5 months, and they just don't get the quality of pelt. There is a distinct difference in hair in rabbits. You have what we call baby fur until about 10 weeks in most breeds. Then you hit a junior coat up until about 6 months, and then you start to transition into the senior coat. And for a good pelt, a really good pelt, you really want that junior or that senior coat. A junior coat is often still too soft. It still usually won't have the well-defined color. Uh, and like I said, the height isn't thick enough, so you do get more fur slippage. What else you got for me?
So Keto Cutie just asked if you do make a flyer, can we make it a PDF so that she can also use it at her feed store? Which absolutely we can do that either as a PDF or a Word document or something downloadable.
I can do PDF. I can do
Yeah,
PDF.
we can do that, and
I probably will be working on it this week. I don't have any plans to go back to town to my feed store this week. So I'll probably be working on it this week to have it ready to go for next week. So hopefully closer to the weekend, but not sure how we can do that.
What?
We'll probably have to, well, we can't put a PDF on YouTube to share. Probably what we'll have to do is put it on the our website.
Yeah, we can do it on our website. Yeah. I think we can do it also as an attachment on our Facebook page.
Yeah, we can do that.
So we can do
either
of those.
We'll get it in a few different places because like Instagram isn't good for sharing files and things like that. But we'll when I've got it done, I'll be happy to share it out because it's really important.
So Cosmo and Misty is asking, what time does a mother normally nurse?
Varies a little bit on the rabbit, but generally in the morning. Usually sometime before 10 o'clock. I swear my girls are kind of lazy about it. Sometimes I'll catch them in there at, 10, 10:30, noon. But what they usually say is, traditionally, it's not too far off of what wild rabbits would do. So wild rabbits are usually morning nursers, and then they go out and they graze all day or feed, and then they feed their babies the next morning, usually. Gives them more time to build up milk. In a lot of our domestics, though, they're getting to be really super heavy nursers. So like Silver Fox in particular, my Harlequins. What breed was somebody telling me the other day? Jersey Woolies, maybe? There are some breeds that milk extremely heavy, and the doe will feed as often as she needs to be comfortable. So you'll sometimes get a doe that feeds twice a day. If it's a really big litter, like over 8 kits, sometimes you'll get a doe that double or even triple feeds. I had one doe one time, her babies were so big they looked like little hippos. And she was in that box like every 2 hours. I swear, as soon as she got any pressure on those mammary glands, she was like, oh, gotta feed the kids. And they were just these little balls of Harlequin fatness. They were adorable, but yeah, generally in the morning though is is where you assume they're going to feed them. What do you got?
That was pretty much it. Jody Stubbs says she's in the UK, so that's awesome from across the pond. But she's actually losing. I say she. Sorry if I'm saying that. If you're a man, but there's me. Losing rabbits left, right, and center, and they're also in an avian flu outbreak.
Oh, jeez.
So, no idea what it's from yet. Waiting for the vet to say, but.
Sorry to hear that, Jody. You guys get RHD cases over there, though. I see it pop up every now and again.
Yeah.
You're in the same boat. The really ugly part is that RHD is even more fatal than the RHDV2 that we have. What I saw is RHD is like 90 to 100% fatal, whereas RHDV2 is only like,
I think it was 80, wasn't it? 85
it says 30 to 80% is the thing I read the other day, which I thought, what a wildly wide window. So what I would imagine is, because you're really looking at 3 different subsets, right? So you've got domestic European rabbits, which is what we all raise. You've got cottontails, and then you've got um, uh, jackrabbit, which is really a whole nother species. So I would imagine it's hitting some populations harder than the other. So it's kind of an interesting. I'm assuming that's why the window is so wide.
Yeah.
But we have a higher chance of surviving RHDV2 than RHD.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Cindy just jumped on. And
Wonderful.
She asks, are there pictures anywhere of baby bunny privates so that one might tell them apart? Mine are about a week old now.
I don't have anything on sexing little tiny ones just because I'm not very good at it. I know some people that swear that they can tell really until they're at least 5-6 weeks. I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, they're so small.
Yeah. Well, it's fairly pronounced. Like my friend Deanna will pull one out of the nest box and go, "Oh, it's a little buck." And every time she does that, she'll come back later and be like, "Oh no, this one was a doe." And I think, you don't know either. So I never put any faith in it until they're big enough.
Yeah.
Then there's no point in getting too excited about them, right? Like right out of the nest box. I guess it would be fun to know, but it's not necessary for anything. Really, the first 6 weeks you're monitoring to make sure they're alive more than anything. So
yeah.
just kind of one of those things. Question above. I don't know what question. I can't see his screen, so.
I didn't see a question.
Show and meat. Oh, that was from the feeder.
That was the thing. I just see the comment that she is recovering nicely, but the teat itself is gone. I assume it's something about nursing. Baby bite it off, maybe? I'm not sure. Can she still do it?
I don't know.
That's all I saw. I didn't see a question.
Okay. Well, if you're monitoring that,
I'm trying to.
He's doing a better job than we were last time.
So, I don't see a question. Mother Wolf Rabbitry.
One bunny did show signs of RHD. Two.
Lethargic, off food. When she passed, there was blood from the nose, mouth, and bum. She died within the hour of finding her sick.
Yeah, unfortunately, that sounds a lot like RHD or RHDV2.
Yeah.
Hemorrhaging is the big giveaway for that. And like I said, in RHD, the hemorrhaging is always there. In RHDV2, it's not always there.
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder. Because you'll get rabbits that die of other things that will put blood out of their nose. And that's where it's a little confusing for some people, especially right now. With RHDV2 not always showing any hemorrhaging or not the pronounced amount of hemorrhaging, I think right now anybody who sees any signs of bleeding is panicked. And heart attacks, if they die of a heart attack or run into something really hard and break a neck and have trauma, you will get blood out of the nose.
Yeah.
I've had a rabbit die of a heart attack on me more than once.
Well, we've had them die of broken necks. I mean, right after that one night that we were in there feeding, I was in there feeding and Nikki was in another barn.
No, I was at the other end.
Yeah, I heard a bang and then some
Serenity.
squealing.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, she ran and broke her neck. And then, I was there at the very tail end of the incident.
Yeah.
And she bled from her nose.
Yeah, because she whacked the holy bejesus out of herself.
Yeah.
But when they have a heart attack, sometimes they'll do that too. Or like heat stroke, they'll bleed from their nose during a heat stroke incident too.
Okay, so let me. So Mother Wolf Rabbitry asks, if a brood doe loses a teat to mastitis, should she cull it? God, I keep saying she. Should it be culled? She has recovered nicely, but the teat is gone. The rabbit has 2 legs already. I would say no.
I don't know that I'd cull it. I would kind of keep an eye on it. So there's a lot of people on the fence about whether or not mastitis is inheritable, and the answer is yes and no, right? It is in a lot of animals. Like, you don't really want to breed cattle that get mastitis. Um, I would watch her line really closely going forward. So any daughter that you keep out of her, I would really, really pay attention and be keeping an eye on whether or not this becomes a big deal. Otherwise, if she's lost the teat, I had a case of it one time that actually split the side of a teat, and I flushed it with some Vetericin, and she was fine. But I never saw that, like, she didn't lose the teat, but it damaged the mammary gland there so badly that I never saw her produce milk out of that teat again. And she did fine. She continued to raise, 7, 8 kits for me every single litter, and no problem. So I wouldn't. While I like the idea that she's got 2 legs, here's the way I look at it: is you can have all the grand champion legs in the world and still have a really crappy producer. So take the show end of it off the table and really look at it from the animal perspective. If she's only had 1 litter where she's gotten mastitis, could be a fluke. Wouldn't worry too much about it. If she's had multiple litters and had mastitis, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal.
Yeah.
And some animals will get it and not pass it on either. But for me, if I see mastitis in 2 litters back to back, she's gone, because this is obviously a problem with her. Like I said, she could do it once and never do it again, and then it's not a big deal. But I would watch the daughters for it in case it's a genetic issue.
Pennypack asked, how old should a rabbit be culled?
Depends what we're culling for. If it's just a meat grow out, we go more off of size than time. So usually you're aiming for 5 pounds for fryer, which can be anywhere from 8 weeks to 14 weeks, depending on the breed. If you're culling because they're not a performer anymore, when they're not performing anymore. I mean, it really does kind of vary. Anytime you do a buck past about 5 months, they're going to be tough as far as getting the hide off, and they'll have a slightly stronger flavor. We've done does at 2 years old and haven't really noticed any difference. The girls just aren't that bad.
Yeah, that's it for meat. So
yeah,
5 months ish, based on, or 5 pounds.
5 pounds ish. Yeah,
pounds.
It really kind of depends. Some people like them bigger. Technically, a stewer is what 5. A stewer, I think, is 6 to 8 pounds. And fryers are like 3.5 to 6 or whatever. So whatever you're comfortable with, just remember this: that after 12 weeks of age, the efficiency of food conversion drops. Meaning that after 12 weeks of age, every meat you make costs you more in feed than the first ones did, I guess is the easiest way to put that. So whatever makes you happy with it. With our Harlequins, we're usually waiting until almost 14 weeks. The Americans are usually ready at 8 to 10. The Satins, we will see. They're adorable little things at 6 weeks, but they're small. So we'll see. I've always heard that Satins are more the 10, 12 week range. So we're going to find out if I butcher any of them, because they're so cute.
Yeah, and Triantas take forever. I mean, they're not big in general.
Yeah,
and they take 14 weeks sometimes. We've gone.
I have 14-week-olds right now that are 3.5 pounds, but they're not a true meat breed.
Right.
So we just do them whenever I feel like I'm done looking at them. Like, I'm not gonna show them and I'm not gonna sell them. Then that's when they go to freezer camp. So.
No other questions other than Cindy asked, how was the trip this weekend? If you want to cover anything of that. I kind of told her there was street racing and fights outside the hotel.
I forgot about that. There was a fight outside the hotel. What was that, Saturday night?
Yes.
So I got done at the show at 4:30. Didn't I call you about 4:30?
Yeah, and then
I was fried. And then I went, and I don't know what is going on in California that none of your fast food is fast. Because the first night I went, and I don't eat a lot of fast food, don't get me wrong, but one, it's easier when you're by yourself and basically living out of a hotel for a weekend. So I got in really late Friday night, dumped the rabbits off, barely made it out of the barn before 10, before they closed. Checked into the hotel and thought, oh, there's a McDonald's across the street. 45 minutes to get food at a McDonald's. And then Saturday, I went to Taco Bell because, again, this looks easy. And that took me, half an hour?
Yeah, you said a half hour.
To get some Taco Bell. And then I got back, and I was tired. It was warm. It was in the upper 70s, which I know is not hugely warm, but when it was snowing here Thursday, I wasn't prepared for the temperature jump yet. So I got back to the hotel, dumped all my sweaty clothes, was laying on the bed eating, watching God only knows what was on TV.
You said a Harry Potter marathon or something.
Oh, it was a Harry Potter marathon. You're right. You pay more attention. So it was a Harry Potter. I'm sure I didn't remember because I've seen them all. So I was watching a Harry Potter movie or marathon, and I hear all this god awful screaming. I'm like, what is this? So I'm peeking out the blinds, and the apartments and houses across the street from my hotel, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say lower income. Might be fair, which I have no problem with, but the noise I was hearing was two gentlemen calling each other a lot of really nasty things. And yeah, full on fight, which really kind of made me sad because there was a group of kids over there playing not 20 feet from it. And the fact that none of the kids stopped to see what was going on pretty much convinced me that this was normal.
Yeah.
But there was a flat out punching, guy had him in a headlock, and I was just like, I'm making sure my door locks are all locked, and I'm turning up my Harry Potter, and I'm just going to pretend it's not happening. So, not the best area there in Merced. And it made me a little nervous when I rolled into town Friday night because 2 blocks before the fairgrounds was a whole lot of flashing lights and some kind of bust going down at the apartment buildings 2 blocks before the fairgrounds. So I was like, not the best area I've ever seen. So it's kind of overall, not a bad trip. The show is just really small. But I will say, had a great time with all the folks that stopped by to see me. I don't think Anita's on, but Anita came, and Anita and I hung out for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then Leslie stopped by. Bill
Atkinson, right? Is that right?
I think so. I have trouble with noisy barns because of my hearing. Several people. So y'all that came by and said hello, and thanks for passing the time with me because, man, it was slow. So we showed Americans first thing on Saturday morning and then sat there for almost 4 hours waiting for the Harlequins to go up. And then when the Harlequins went up, we went from one table to the next table, waited like 10 minutes, and then went up to the next table. And so we were done with the Harlequins really quick, but we sat there for hours, and then I had to sit there for another 3 hours probably waiting for the Americans to go. So yeah, I was glad to have some company. I know Anita and I talked about all kinds of stuff. It was fun. It was nice to chat with folks.
Yeah. I guess since I spent all the time Thursday washing and detailing Nikki's Suburban, I was pretty excited that how many times she said, boy, every time I go out to the car, somebody'd be out there taking a picture or a video of the Suburban and then want to ask me 12 questions on it about who wrapped it, how much does it cost, all that stuff.
I will say when I go to a show, and I know a lot of people have never seen me at a show, I am a bit flamboyant, which you probably wouldn't necessarily guess because I'm not at home.
No, we're pretty low key at
home. But when I go to a show, I have this Suburban that is striped like a Harlequin, and I wear a scrub top to keep the hair off because, as most of you know, I have really bad allergies, so I've got to get out of the hair as quick as possible. But it's it's glittery. It's my Rabbitry logo. It's a Harlequin, and I did it all myself with the Cricket brand hot press stuff, whatever that's called. But I should just go get one. That's what I should do.
There's room right there in the doorway.
Yeah, that one's all set.
Well, it doesn't matter. Just show them the logo.
Okay.
We did a big load of laundry to get her ready for the show.
So I have them in Magpie and Jenny's, and this one's all stained with blood and all kinds of stuff. So I made these before I went to Nationals a couple years ago. So I have like 4 of them. And you probably can't see how glittery that is, but it's glittery. So I do that. And then at least Saturday morning for a little bit, I was wearing my bunny tiara, which is, it's a gold band and it's got bunny ears on it. And it's got pearls. Remember, I bought it last year and then never got to wear it.
Yes.
Or I usually have some kind of rabbit-related jewelry on. So I'm a bit flamboyant. People can find me. Everybody always knows exactly where to find the Harlequin lady because she's... When you had the most flamboyant breed in Arba, I feel like you gotta own it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which I don't think the low-key American people necessarily enjoy that as much as I do.
Cindy, what kind of pictures do you want? She's saying pictures, but what kind of pictures?
You know, I don't know if I have any pictures of...
All I saw from you post this weekend was rabbit. Like, this rabbit did this in show 1, 2, A, B, and etc.
What we'll do that one of these days. I'll get one of my scrub tops. The wrap is all over our Facebook page for sure.
Well, I remember I did a video on both of our channels.
Yeah, there is a video somewhere. Maybe I'll let Kanan dig out the link and share it on the community page.
Let me see if I can find it.
But yeah, we do. We have an older video when he wrapped it because he wrapped it in fall of 2019.
Yeah, it was for the October convention.
Yeah, it's orange and black striped to look like a Japanese Harlequin. And then I've got magnets on the side that have the Rabbitry logo and better explain. A lot of people come up and they look at it and they're like, "Oh, now I get it," because otherwise they don't get it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'll see if I can get through.
Yeah, I'm quite a package when I go. And then my carriers they all have purple tape on them because I kind of do the whole purple theme. And yeah, I'm always the goofy one that if near the Halloween shows, I usually have my little witch's hat on and all that kind of stuff. Easter shows, I have bunny ears, and I let my little freak flag fly at shows, and I don't get to do that right now. So he's looking, Cindy. We do. We have a couple. We have a video on it, and we have a ton of pictures of it on Facebook.
Well, I did like 3. Remember, I did 3 or 4 videos on my car channel because that's where I technically wrapped it.
Yeah.
For the Homestead as a customer.
I'll have to get my scrub tops together and my little tiara.
Well, this isn't helping me.
I'll let him look for that. Let me put this back.
Yeah. All right, copy that link. All right, let me see if I can dump this over here. Oh, that is not it. I think she went to get her tiara, so hold on a second for that. I'll keep looking here. I'm hot spotting my phone for my laptop, so it's not exactly speedy.
But other than that, the show went really well. There just wasn't hardly anybody that came, which is kind of a bummer. And my dogs missed me. I don't know if Kaden missed me, but the dogs missed me. Huh. Yes. But yeah, that's we won best of breed.
Well, now, yeah, the dog hit the camera here.
Well, that tail is a little wild. We won best of breed in all 4 shows for the Harlequins.
It's gone dim. I think you're losing your battery there.
Oops. Either that or it's just adjusting.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Is the feed still, or you're off the feed?
No, I'm over here. I'm in a different window.
Okay. Well, the feed's still working.
All I see is a big collie.
I saw a comment pop up. Yeah, so it was nice. It was nice to go and stop, baby. I'm kind of glad I went because everything has been canceled since. So there will be no more shows for me, at least this spring. which is kind of a bummer. Stop. Yes, I don't. No, I don't need kisses. Stop.
Cindy, that. So I'm on here as Base in Motorsports. So if you're, that's weird. That's my car channel. I just dumped in the YouTube link. Hopefully you might be able to just click on it. I don't know if it'll open a new window with it, but that's the link to it. It's on our Homestead channel called "Every Homestead Needs a Harlequin Vinyl Wrapped Suburban," and it's from September 21st, 2019.
Yeah, because we finished it before convention.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of wild. Like we have a lot of breeders in Oregon, or a fair amount of Harlequin breeders in Oregon. So I don't think about the fact that not everybody's seen them, but I was kind of surprised at the number of people who showed up and would walk up to the Harlequins and be like, "What are these? I've never seen one." Or we're out there looking at the car going, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen that."
Right.
So
nobody usually takes it that far, though. I mean, one, nobody really can wrap a whole vehicle like that, or the expense of it. Well, thankfully, we can do a lot of this ourselves because I do it on the side.
Yeah.
But, it took us a month to do that. I mean, her Suburban was taken apart into pieces for a month.
And it wasn't exactly cheap. It wasn't.
It wasn't. It was only, I'm going to say only, but it was like, what, 700?
It's a scant more than that.
Was it? I mean, it was less than $1,000, I'll say it that way, for the wrap. And then it took me a month in my free time, in night and weekends and all that kind of stuff to disassemble it, wrap it all, reassemble it, and get it all washed and cleaned up. And
it did. It took a while.
Liza, be careful.
Collies don't know how big they are.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah.
They that's about it, really. I think she wants to know show etiquette, but
what is show etiquette? I'm not good at show etiquette. Like, they tell you a lot of things, like don't ever talk to the judge, and I'm a nervous talker, so judges are just people. The big thing is you can't identify your animals on the show table, and I never have that problem because it always seems like so many of them are mine that like, I don't know. At least in Oregon, everybody always knows which Harlequins are mine because the bucks tend to have those big fat heads, and mine look very distinct. And I think that happens when you line breed a program as much as I have. My rabbits look consistent and distinct, which to me is what you want. You want consistency. You're breeding to a standard, so you want more consistency. Like, my color is a certain level, and there are very distinct marking points that my rabbits tend to hit. And like, my bucks have in my magpies especially, a very round, bucky head and a certain length of ears. Yeah.
But that's easy to do. The Harlequins, I mean, they're a marking breed. So,
yeah.
When you get a group of them that look very similar, it's pretty easy to assume that they're all one breeder. You get some of these other breeds that are, little, like if you went and looked at Triantas, they're little red rabbits, and you put 100 of them side by side, they're all little red rabbits.
That year I showed at convention, I will say, like, I couldn't even tell my rabbits from anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point he was asking, he's like, he wanted to make a comment specifically to the exhibitor, and we were all kind of looking at each other because nobody could remember, like, you couldn't see the ear number. So it was like, I don't know, it's just another Trianta. They're all red and they're all this big. And yeah.
Cindy wants to know if you have any plans of becoming a judge.
Never. I have kicked around becoming a registrar, and I may do that at some point. Right now it'd be impossible. So you not only have to pay a huge fee, and you have to study and take a bunch of tests, but you have to work under a judge so many hours and handle so many animals. It would be impossible. But I don't. I enjoy showing and the competitive stuff and the camaraderie. But there are breeds I don't want to deal with. I can't stand Britannia Petites Really, I don't like any of the running breeds. Checker Giants are beautiful, and my friends have raised Rhinelanders, but overall, like, I can't stand the tans. Britannias are nasty. I'm not a big fan of the Netherland dwarves, and you kind of have to be willing to at least handle all of them. Arba used to have licenses where you could specialize in breeds, and they don't do that anymore. You have to be licensed in everything, and I've got a good friend who, well, he's been like a mentor to me, Ted, who is a judge over there in what, Central Point, I think. And he's been talking about quitting judging for a long time because he said, it's hard to move my program forward because I never hear judges' comments because I'm always judging somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And you get accused of favoritism or, a lot of judges have really nice animals because they know what they're looking for. So you get a lot of accusations of, well, you're just winning because you're a judge and things like that. So, yeah, it doesn't really appeal to me much. I have a hard time sometimes keeping my thoughts to myself, and I just feel like I would say something nasty and lose my license in the first year. I don't like cattiness, and some breeds are really bad about it.
Yeah.
I don't always like how some of the breeds treat their youth breeders, things like that. So I feel like I would say something that Eric Stewart, executive director of ARBA, would call me and be like, "We saw this coming," but so yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that.
So Elizabeth Stevens, I hope I said it right. Stevens or Steffens?
Probably Stevens.
First time catching us live, which, for point of reference, we're always live Mondays at 5:30 Pacific. Is our time.
Especially now that we're doing it off the phone, it seems to work a lot better.
Doing good. So she said we always cover topics, or you always cover topics that are timely to her situation.
Oh, well, good. So maybe we're good. Psychically linked.
Could be. So did anybody watch the solar video from Saturday that I did on our batteries having problems?
He's been so excited he got to make a video.
The reason was because we had this hidden cost of solar video that I made. It was somebody's request.
Years ago.
And it was like 2.5 years ago. And it just went over 100,000 views a week ago, last weekend.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Time has no meaning.
But it's been, I won't say wildly successful. It's been very good for views. And it's brought a lot of interesting comments. I'll say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when I put it out, normally my parents don't watch our videos and that unless we share them to Facebook. So I shared it over. My dad watched it and made the comment that he always, I won't say picks at me, but he always says, for us non-engineers, you need to not speak so technobabble. So when I did the video, it was specifically for non-engineers. So he watched it and said, I understood everything. The graphs were right on point, and I understood exactly what you were teaching. So
there you go.
For me, it was a little bit of a win.
You've got at least 3 people that watched it.
See, there you go. Michael,
Keto Cutie, and Aislinn Fox.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how to say that. I'm probably butchering. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. So yeah, you got people watched.
That's good. See, I got it's not. I don't want to talk about rabbits, so.
He doesn't know what he's missing.
I'm a mechanical guy. I dealt with rabbits all weekend.
Kanan did, and he saved the life of a baby bunny.
Yeah. I ended up, when I was doing chores, one of the new satin mommies left a baby on the wire. It was her first one of the litter, and she left it out in the wire, and I happened to be in there feeding, so I sent Nikki a text and said, "What do you want me to do with it? Put it back in the box?" And she said, "No, foster it." So she gave me instructions of who to foster it to, and there's a rogue satin in a harlequin litter right now. Hopefully alive. I haven't seen anything out of it, so.
Yeah, I didn't check, but Kathy, she came named from somebody else. Kathy has fostered for me in the past, so I'm sure she did just fine. Yeah, I'll have to check, but Kathy is, it's funny. Kathy was best opposite of Group Magpie Convention in 2019. And the people I got her from, that was like her nickname. And they told me, name her whatever you want. So I ended up naming her Gatewood's Turning Shades of Gray. It's a pet. But I still call her Kathy. As goofy as it is, I've never had a Kathy in the barn, but we call her Kathy.
Yeah.
Deanna did away with hers. My girlfriend got a doe from them too and named it something totally different. But all right, you two and the tails are starting to shake the tripod.
Yes, we have dogs fighting for attention here. So Cindy said she's going to watch it. So Rex Hale asked about the hip camp sites with spring kicking in, watching out for solar videos.
So Hip Camp, we officially open on
Friday.
On Friday. That was when I have it turned back on. And I wasn't sure if we were being overly optimistic. But after having, what do you get, upper 60s over the weekend?
Oh, no. It was 73 is what the thermometer showed, I think, Saturday. Doing chores.
The snow and ice on the upper part of the road are pretty much gone. And we're going to hit like near 70, I think, on Wednesday. So I do have to take the tractor down and regrade the road so that folks can get to site. But we do have a reservation for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a 3-day reservation for this weekend. And we're starting to get reservations trickling in. So took one the other night for like late June. Mm-hmm. We have a couple reservations for May.
For Memorial Weekend, we know that.
Yeah, one was Memorial Weekend. One is for somebody coming to Rabbit Class, which I'll mention again in a second. Yeah, it's a catch-22. Like, we're way drier than we should be, to the point that we've had a couple local fires already. But it looks like it's going to go good. The thing I keep seeing is that the state of Oregon is really not opening a whole lot of their campgrounds. And a lot of the free campgrounds that they've had out on BLM, they're closing because people are setting up shop and basically living there and trashing them. Mm-hmm. So the thing I got from Hip Camp the other day said, we're really predicting a pretty good year. And like I said, we're not even to April yet, and we're already starting to get bookings. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah.
We've added a whole bunch of new stuff this year. We actually bought a couple of little charcoal grills that we're going to make available for rent. Mm-hmm. Because we get an awful lot of people just kind of passing through, and we're far enough away that...
Yeah, there's no real good close food. We have a convenience store that's about 3.5 miles, let's call it that. But they close typically at 8 p.m. and a lot of times...
They don't do any real hot food either.
They don't. They have a microwave, and you can microwave stuff there if you want hot food. But, they have like Hungry Man dinners and whatever else that's microwavable that they can do there. But there's really no way to cook. There's, if you go get a can of Van den Kamp's pork and beans, you're going to eat it cold. So we're trying to remedy that with some charcoal grills.
Some rental stuff. We've got, we're renting barbecue forks, like for hot dog and marshmallow roasting this year.
Yeah, s'mores.
S'mores kits. We did pick up some so we've had 2 campsites. We're probably going to add 2 more this year, and an A-frame cabin, which we're going to start working on probably in this next month. So we bought some extra fire pits. It's about time to get the picnic tables out. In fact, I'm going to do that later this week. I've got to get at least one of the picnic tables out of the shed and down to the campsite for the one site.
Yeah, we have a reservation for 3 nights coming in Friday night. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, leaving Monday. And
so far, the reservations that we've had, a lot of these people are really excited about. So we sell eggs. We offer a half dozen eggs. I make homemade bread. If you want homemade bread, it's like $5 a loaf. So I have a little bit of that to do. And then firewood. Do some firewood bundles for folks. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes this year. We didn't start until pretty close to July 4th last year, and we had 50, 60 nights of camping. Yeah. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I mean, we feel kind of excited that we can offer that on the property, and basically it helps pay for the property taxes on stuff. Yeah. It completely funded its own property taxes, but we have that front 40-acre parcel too. So it covers that, and It's nice to be able to offer people a place to go, because I know that was a big deal this last year. Is you couldn't go camping. Where could you go? And
Yeah.
the few places that were open, nobody wanted to be packed in because of COVID, so close to everybody else.
Right.
Well, here right now we have two spots on basically an 8-acre meadow, and we're going to add two more. So you've got tons of room. Like you can see people from a distance,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. You're hundreds of feet, if not. I think between the two sites right now, between the
Almost a quarter of a mile.
yeah, it's almost a quarter of a mile. So yes, there are other people down there, but even when you're sitting around, at a campsite with eating dinner or whatever else, you're not going to be disturbed. Hopefully, you never know. People get crazy down there. We've had it one night where there was some wild 20s, I think, that were down there, and they were pretty loud. I mean, we could hear them from the house.
Well, and the one night our neighbor was here.
Oh my gosh!
And they were playing like mariachi music till like midnight.
Yeah, they were having a great time.
And we couldn't
there.
hear it. They were down where the neighbors are. We couldn't hear it, but the folks that were camping could, and they didn't say anything. And then the next day on the review, they said they had a great time, but there was some strangely loud Hispanic music playing.
Yeah.
And it was like a Wednesday night. So
yeah,
the neighbors have been pretty good on the weekends, because I think they've figured out that, yeah, we're doing the camping thing, but during the week, I guess all bets are off. I guess. So it's been pretty interesting.
Rex, did you send us a message over the weekend asking if you could come visit us? Is this the same one? Maybe it's not. Anyway, Cindy asked the black oil sunflower seeds at Walmart for wild birds okay for her rabbits, or rabbits in general.
It should be. Basically turn the bag over and look. So some black oil sunflower seeds are coated with a mineral drench for wild birds, and it'll usually say somewhere on the back that they're enriched, or it'll say that they've been treated. So yeah, just look for those. If one of those two things is happening, don't take them. But most of them know that they'd be fine. Do be very careful with black oil sunflower seeds, though, because they don't because they're for birds. They don't care if they have pests in them. So I've heard of people bringing home a bag and it infesting other stuff. You can usually tell, because usually they're translucent enough bags that kind of shake it all down to one end and kind of hold it up. This is how I do it anyway. Hold it up and kind of lightly shake it, because if you're going to get bugs, you'll get the little bug dirt that'll come to the bottom. And then just kind of bring and look at a couple of seeds. If you start seeing a lot of little bore holes in them, those you don't want, because they've been infested.
Yeah.
But other than that, I buy the ones for wild birds a lot of times.
So Rex Hale says that they're going to make reservations for a couple of days when they're working on their property up here. They're out on Drew's.
Oh, okay.
So Drew's has been really popular. We've seen a lot of new people moving in. They're either going to the estates or to Drew's.
Mm-hmm. And both of those areas, I would have said 5 years ago to kind of avoid, because
it's really been cleaning up lately.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of really nice new people. Like, I just sold some Americans to a really nice lady up in the estates that's new, that moved down here from Silverton. So we're getting some much nicer people. So, certainly there's still an element in places that you want to keep an eye out for. But a lot of places that were bare land that everybody's buying and developing is turning out really nice. So
yeah, I think we just had a lot of influx out here that people are now wanting to leave the metropolitan areas like Portland, anything off of I-5. People are starting to leave away from, and where we are really going. Unless you're up off of 20 through Burns and that, Sprague River is probably one of the last big areas. I would call it big, but Klamath Falls and that. If you want property that's reasonably priced, it's only like $1,000 an acre or so.
Yeah, depending where it is.
Yeah, $1,000 to $3,000 an acre. That's still, for some, that'll be just insanely cheap. But it's, if you want to do some small farming with greenhouses and all that, it's great. But it's not going to be the rich growing area that I-5 corridor is.
Right, and it's It's definitely better here than it is in Christmas Valley.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Of all things, a gentleman was kind of hanging out Sunday morning at the show and started talking to me. That was Bill. And yeah, he's in Central California, and they're moving to near Beatty, which is only 20 minutes from here, 15, 20 minutes.
East.
Yeah, which was kind of funny. He'd owned property here before, sold it, and because they're tired of things in California, they were looking at moving this direction, and he just happened to Google it and got looking at property pictures and was like, did I own that? And hit up the realtor, and the realtor she did a title search and was like, yeah, like 3 owners ago. So he bought back the place that he had sold. 18 years ago.
The best part was he literally paid
pretty
the
much
exact price that he sold it for 18 years ago.
Yeah, he got lucky there because prices are starting to...
Yeah, because he had said, since he bought it, he's had, 4 people ask him to potentially buy from him for
No, there's a bunch of people that were putting in bids or something around at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. And in another twist of irony, my dad calls me today.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and says, hey, you're going to get a call from this lady at this title company. So when we bought all the property from my parents, there's a 20, a 40, and a 40. Well, the 140-acre parcel used to have a 20 with it. When we bought it, it was owned by one couple, and it was 60 acres. It was a 40 and a 20. Well, we sold the 120 piece to another neighbor a few years ago. And then we had all kinds of screwed up stuff where we quit getting tax bills for it. And I would call in and pay. And we finally got to the bottom of the fact that for some reason on that 40 acre, they were sending our tax bill to the Wells Fargo account that the gentleman had bought the 20 acre parcel on. I'm assuming Wells Fargo wasn't paying it. I'm not sure what was happening there. But anyway, my dad calls to tell me that the title company, because they signed it over to us a few years ago, actually contacted him and said somehow they had assigned the title for the 20 acres to us. Like there's some kind of screwed up deal where we now have to go in and sign a little thing that says, no, we have no part of the 20. That's somebody else's stuff. But it was just kind of that's been a screwed up mess right from the start.
Yeah, it's been like 4 years that we sold that to him.
Oh yeah, it probably
it's been
a while.
It's been a while. It's been years since we've owned that.
Because he's even in the process of selling it to somebody else. So go figure.
Yeah, we might have a new neighbor back there again. So.
Yeah, well, just for vacations,
right?
Because it's not considered a buildable lot like so much out here. So.
Yeah.
What time is it?
It is 6:45. We are way past.
We are way. Yeah, we need to get cracking and go get our chores done for the night. We got hungry critters everywhere.
Yep.
I will start to have some videos, not this next weekend, but the next week. My 100+ quail eggs. They go into lockdown next weekend, which means the middle of next week. We should start to have little quail. Kaden looks nervous. Oh God, not more quail. We should have tons of little quail hatching.
Yes.
The 2 in the back room, there's 2 left in the back room that one of them was screaming its head off when we got home earlier today because he'd flown out of his box and then panicked. Yeah. So he had to be netted and put back. So go figure that.
I know.
So it's, these won't be raised in the house. Kaden's getting quailed out.
Oh my gosh.
But I did say I was going to mention the class. So once again, class, we have a quail raising 101 class in mid-April. Right now, nobody is coming, so I might end up canceling. If you thought about doing quail, you need to probably hit me up because I'm probably going to cancel that class here in another week or so. If nobody's coming, there's no reason to have it.
Yeah. And
then rabbit class is mid-May. And spots are filling up. So I try only to do 10 people. Right now I'm halfway there, I think. 5.
Yeah, something like that.
And a girlfriend of mine is coming to help teach that will be teaching palpating. So being able to actually tell that they're pregnant. I am not by any means a palpation expert. So she's going to come do that. So should be a fun time. But if you want to come to that rabbit class, you need to get on my list like soon, because once she's full, and I'm 10 people is the most I feel comfortable with that we can still answer questions and allow everybody to get as much out of it as they want. So that will be the last one until fall. I'll probably do another one in September. So if you don't want to make the spring list, you might want to email me if you want to be on the September list so I can get you down early. So just keep that in mind.
Yep, that's about it, really.
All right.
No more questions. Michael's
no more
out.
questions.
Rex is out.
All right. Well, we got to get changed and go do chores. So we will have a question out tomorrow. The next step on the breeder list on Thursday.
And then I've got something on fixing the tractor for Saturday that I need to edit and get uploaded. But that'll be Saturday mornings. And
we've got new baby rabbits in nest boxes, so you might have some more shorts coming your way.
Maybe. You never know.
All right, guys. That's it for us for tonight. We will see you next time. Thanks for coming. There we go. Exit.